It's abortion, stupid. You know the old phrase, it's the economy, stupid, about what drives elections, what drives voters? Well, right now it might be it's the border, stupid. But in 2022, it was abortion. In the wake of Roe v. Wade being struck down by the Supreme Court, everyone went crazy. Hair was on fire. They're going to ban abortion. And some people threatened to ban abortion. Here in my home state of Minnesota, one of the guys running for governor said, we're going to ban abortion. Dumb, 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 dumb. Just stupid. Republicans, if they want to win anything in the future, better get their messaging right on abortion. Because guess what? Pro-lifers aren't going to suddenly vote Democrat if the Republicans get a little more liberal on abortion. And now this Alabama ruling on in vitro fertility, which, by the way, I went through several times. We're going to discuss it all next.
Welcome to the Michele Tafoya podcast.
So you may have heard about this Alabama ruling about IVF, in vitro fertility. It basically counts embryos, frozen embryos, which are stored outside of the human body, as children, as protected. So very often what laws attempt to do is if a pregnant woman is murdered, they can charge the murderer with two deaths, the death of the woman and the death of the unborn child who is residing in that woman's uterus. But now Alabama went a step further to suggest that embryos outside of the human body are a protected class, that they are humans, and that any harm that comes to them could be prosecuted. Well, so a bunch of IVF clinics in Alabama said, oh, whoa, we're going to suspend operations for now. And of course, Alabama is a very conservative state, and so Democrats all over the country are saying, oh, you see, they want to control your reproductive rights. Republicans, if they want to win anything, better get their messaging straight on this stuff. I remember having dinner with Rush Limbaugh in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, before a Steelers game, a couple days before a Steelers game. He was a huge Steelers fan, and he came out and joined Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, and me for dinner a couple times, different seasons. And I would say to him, Rush, you guys, the pro-life, I don't blame anyone for being pro-life. I personally am pro-choice to a point. I don't think you should be able to abort a child at 9 months, that kind of thing. I think reasonable minds can agree. But see, people don't want to have reasonable minds about this. This is a political weapon, a political football, if you will, abortion. And now IVF is being brought into it. If you're not familiar with in vitro fertility, basically these reproductive doctors will extract eggs from a woman. And I went through it a few times, so I'm very familiar with this process. You put a lot of drugs in your system to create more eggs than normal so that when they go to extract the eggs, it's not just one egg. Because of the inefficiency of in vitro fertility, you want multiple eggs. I think the most I got was 6 at one time. People can get up to 8. And then you take your husband, your partner's sperm, and you fertilize the eggs outside of the uterus, right? So this is all going on. Basically, remember they called it test tube babies when it first started. And then you hope that embryos develop. And in my case, we weren't very fruitful, if you will. The first time we got one embryo and we re-implanted it then. And on implantation, this happens too, the embryo split into 2 identical children. But unfortunately, I lost those twins about 3 months into my pregnancy. Lost the twins. Okay. So it's a very precise and very, I don't want to say it's high risk, but it isn't an efficient way. But for some people, it's the only way to conceive a child. And if you want to grow a family, you go through this. Well, now in Alabama, I think it's the Supreme Court ruled that embryos that exist outside of a woman's body are a protected class of humans. Well, this has the left, as you might imagine, just up in arms. So you're You're saying that, fertility clinics are targets. And they're going to use this. And they're going to use it big time, just as they've always used abortion as a massive fear tactic to get women and a lot of men, frankly, to vote Democrat. Republicans got to get their messaging straight on this. So I'm a conservative, fiscal conservative. But on social issues, I'm a little more moderate, maybe even slightly to the left. I believe in a woman's right to choose. Sorry, I do. But up to a point. I think there has to be a point at which we say, you know what, at a certain point, either the baby can feel pain or the baby could exist outside the woman. At that point, are we sure that that's not murder, etc. You all know the debate. You all know the talking points. But see, no one wants to sit down and come up with a solution. Nobody does. Because this is a money raiser and it's a vote getter. And so why would you want to solve the problem and come to a common sense solution when you can continue to use the issue to raise money, to run, and to get elected? So I've had friends say to me, you know what? Republicans should just give that issue to Democrats. Just say, yep, fine. We're out of the abortion business. We're not, maybe we're pro-life personally, but we believe in abortion. Let's make it legal, safe, and rare, whatever. Give it up so that the Democrats don't have it to use again. Because here's the thing, is even if you're staunchly pro-life, how are you going to vote if Democrats are staunchly pro-choice? You going to vote with them? No, you're not. See, the Republicans are going to lose the pro-life vote. They're not. And I think there are these forces way up high with a lot of money that say you cannot have my support unless you are adamantly pro-life. This is dumb. Look, I worked very, very hard to have children. I adopted one. We finally had one naturally before our adoption. But we went through IVF. We thought about donor eggs. We wanted a family so bad. And so therefore, I believe in whatever options there are to grow a family. I do. I don't love the idea of growing the entire baby outside of a woman's uterus, like these what do they call them? Ectouterine pregnancies, where you basically grow the embryo in a plastic bag hanging on a wall somewhere. Anyway. Maybe that's the way of the future. Maybe I'm just too old-fashioned, but that seems a little too far gone for me. But here's the deal. This IVF ruling comes down in Alabama, one state of 50, 1/50th of the United States. But every Democrat is jumping on it and saying, you see, Republicans hate women. They don't want to give them their choices. They want to control your reproductive rights. They're going to call it reproductive health. They want control of your reproductive health. Well, I don't. Like I said, I think there are a lot of pro-choice Republicans out there. And if Sunny Hostin is an indicator of the view, there are some pro-life Democrats out there too. Again, this is an issue that's being used as a political football. And my fear is that it's going to drive the votes of many people, particularly young people, particularly young women. That's all they're going to think about when they go to vote. They're going to have Hillary Clinton scare the hell out of them, telling them, you're going to lose, control of your reproductive health. Republicans are going to take it away from you. Trump's going to stomp all over your ability to have So for the record, whatever you feel about Trump, and we always have to preface this, don't we, when we talk about Trump, he has said he is in favor of in vitro fertility. And I think right now there's already an effort in the Alabama legislature to counter this by saying, you know what, we got to take out of the picture here embryos that are living outside of a woman's body. So yes, you can be tried for double homicide if you kill a pregnant woman, a woman who's carrying a child. But if something happens to an embryo, if an embryo doesn't take, if you will, in a fertility clinic, are you going to hold the fertility clinic accountable? I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy because the odds are not with you to begin with. It's difficult. So this has got to get resolved. Here we are. We're almost in March of 2024. The elections are in November. and female politicians in particular, Hillary Clinton, Tina Smith here in Minnesota, Amy Klobuchar, uh, Claire McCaskill, they're all jumping on this and saying, you see, they want to take your reproductive health rights away. Folks, they will lie, cheat, and steal to win this election. Frankly, I think both sides would, right? I mean, but the lying about this is insidious to me. It's sinister. It's gross. You've got one state in the nation, one, that has made this decision in the Supreme Court, and already the state's legislature is looking to balance that out, to correct it, if you will. So when they jump on this, oh, they're coming after your reproductive health, just remember all the other things that exist in your life. Yeah, the economy, the border, foreign policy, which right now, I'm sorry, we look so weak on the world stage, and no appearance on any late night comedy show is going to change that for Joe Biden. He was on with Seth Meyers in the last 24 hours, and it was pathetic. It was a staged interview. It was stupid. They went out for ice cream. He didn't have a definitive answer about hostage release and a ceasefire in Gaza. He said, well, my national security people tell me this. Now, you're the president. You're the president. You get to say. You get to say. Anyway, there are a lot of issues coming up in this election. Do not vote simply, as one of my friends told me many years ago, women just keep voting with their uterus. By the way, you do realize there are other ways to prevent pregnancy, right? Okay, just want to throw that in there. But again, I'm pro-choice. I think there is a reasonable amount of time where a woman should be allowed to have an abortion legally. Make it safe, make it rare, make access to birth control much easier. But this idea that people want to take away your right now, some people have said it. I get it. I remember telling my mom years and years ago, Mom, the one thing, that one hill I would die on and go to Washington in March is if they try to take away a woman's right to choose. Knocking down Roe v. Wade did not take that away. It turned it back over to the states. Now, each state is doing whatever it wants with it or whatever the people tell it to do. So you can fight for that as a state citizen, and all politics are local. So don't just think, that everything is banned because of that. It's been 2 years since Roe was overturned. I guess the bottom line is this. This issue will be used, what do they like, the word they like to use in DC? As a cudgel. It's going to be used as a way to pry you away from other issues, to scare you away from thinking about your pocketbook, from thinking about the southern border, from thinking about world events, our involvement in them, from thinking about homeless issues, from thinking about how Gavin Newsom has destroyed the state of California, my home state, where I was born and raised, from thinking about all of the crime wave that's all over the country. They're just going to keep waving that. They're going to try to take away your reproductive health. And that's just not true. Again, I acknowledge that some people have said, we want to ban abortion. And I get really angry at those people, because some of them I agree with on other issues, and then they pull that one out, and I just want to go, it's political suicide. You are alienating a major portion of the public that might agree with you on a bunch of other stuff. So while you may be staunchly pro-life and think that abortion is awful at any point, you're entitled to that opinion. But at least half of the country disagrees with you. So we've got to find some middle ground on this. I know middle ground is a very rare thing these days, but we've got to effort for it. We have to. And I think it's the move belongs to the Republicans right now to get a clear message across all of their candidates about this issue that has them appearing empathetic, understanding, realizing that for some people, that is their only alternative when they find themselves in a situation they don't want to be in. So there's my lecture for the day. But this IVF thing is a little different. So before you set your hair on fire and think that one state and the Supreme Court in one state speaks for everyone in the country about this issue, stop. Do you live in Alabama? If you do, you can go to the state house and complain. If you don't just look to one state, look to your own. And make sure it doesn't happen if you don't want it to. I don't know. I think people feel a little helpless politically, and I think that's because the political class has become too powerful. We've put too much stock in the federal government to run our lives. And in fact, you can create a lot of change right in your city council meeting, in your school board meeting, in the state house. So take a little responsibility and do that, but do not let the likes of Hillary Clinton, who will lie about everything. And she does it in such a way that it's almost embarrassing. The way the things that she throws out there, the blanket lies she throws out there. Think for yourself, do some research, and understand. But Republicans understand it too. You're going to lose on this issue every time. You've got to take the middle ground on this. You just must if you want to win elections. So as always, be brave, speak up. My gosh, I don't know if people have seen Dr. Phil out there lately, but he's been talking about how people are afraid to speak up. 3 times less likely, I think it is, to speak up than they were in the 50s. The hell, people. The coalition of courage has to form, and we have to, in numbers, speak out, be brave, and do good. Whether you're pro-life or pro-choice, do something good today. Just one little thing. It will have a ripple effect. And we will see you next time.
My national security advisor tells me that we're close. We're close. It's not done yet. And my hope is by next Monday, we'll have a ceasefire.